All right, welcome to Momivate Conversations here on the Win Women Network. I'm Regan Barnes. I'm your hostess today, and
Leigha Westover, and I'm co-hostess.
Leigha and I both have 8 children, so we are a mom of 8, and we are co-founders of Momivate. Momivate is a nonprofit organization that empowers you to elevate your mothering experience. This is a picture of Leigha with her 8 children. And we are so glad that you're joining us today and that you are joining us today as you watch there from the Win Network. We just really want to welcome you to the Momivate Mom Unity. Some people might say community, but we like to say Mom Unity. We are united as moms in our passion to create a better world for our children and with our children and through our children. Our children are what become the future. And so we invite you to join us. It is free. You just go to our website and become a mom. That's Mom Unity member. Our website is momivate.org. We are a nonprofit, so we've got the .org instead of .com. And you can remember Momivate because it's a play on the word motivate. So instead of a T there in the middle, we've got the M for Momivate. We raise up society one family at a time. And we need an EMT to help us in this big responsibility. E is for education, M is for money, and T is for time. And our programs at Momivate are designed to bring this EMT, education, money, and time to every mom. The educational part is right now, the Momversations. And we even offer on our website a smile journal is what we call it. And it can help you keep track of the things that you're learning so that this becomes an interactive experience for you and not just listening and learning, but being able to set goals and move forward personally. And so be sure to sign up and we'll send you that free digital smile journal. All right, well, Leigha, let's get this conversation started. Today, we are planning to discuss a part of the Momivate website, and it's actually really foundational to what we teach. Everything at Momivate is based on this set of principles and beliefs called the Momifesto. And I might or might not have heard the word manifesto, but of course we are moms, so a manifesto just doesn't apply. But we solved that problem and we created the Momifesto. A manifesto or a Momifesto, this is like a public declaration of our beliefs, our intentions, and it's really helpful when you come to a topic like motherhood that is, in some ways, it's oversimplified. People are kind of like, well, yeah, you're a mom. That's how all babies come into the world, you know. But in some cases, it also feels so huge, like, oh my goodness, I'm a mom, and there's so many zillions of things I have to do, and so what the Momifesto helps us do is simplify those things, but not oversimplify. And then it also helps us take a responsibility and a good serious look at everything that is involved in motherhood so that we can feel a sense of worth, that this motherhood gig is worth our time and talents.
Well, and what I think about motherhood is ever changing. You saw the picture of my family. Well, that is a few years ago, and they are a lot older. I now have a 31-year-old down to a 15-year-old, and my perspective on mothering is so different compared to where I was so many years ago.
I like that. I like knowing that we can continue to build and grow in our perspectives on mothering, that they will change as our children change and as the needs of our children change. And as we gather different resources and come in contact with other mothers, I think that's a real powerful thing that Momversations is going to offer as we meet together here on a regular basis. And I hope that you will come and join us regularly. And there will be the opportunities for you to interact with us and ask questions and get answers, and maybe even offer your own answers to other people's questions. So that's an exciting thing about Momversations and the Win-Win Women platform.
I ran into a mom at the store today, and she was telling me about her circumstances and things going on in her family. And it reminded me that all of our motherhood looks different. Nobody looks exactly the same way, and that's okay. We're not here to say, hey, this is exactly what a mom looks like. You get to take it to your personal level. And
I love that. Yeah. So yeah, we don't want a bunch of cookie cutter moms out there. We want each mom to appreciate herself, her own talents and skills, and her own children, and the ways that those children are going to grow and contribute to society. And that you as the mom are meant to be that child's mother, to help that child navigate the world that you share with them. And I think that is really powerful. And let's all commit to not being judgmental, but just reaching out in compassion and giving each other the benefit of the doubt and helping each other out as we can. I think that'll be really a way to move forward as mothers.
Yeah, because children sure give us an opportunity that, I did not see that one coming, or that's a new one. And you think you have a master, and then all of a sudden it presents itself in a new situation with a new environment. So you may have had it accomplished in the other environment, but now you're looking like, I was not prepared for this. I thought I was so good at this, but yeah.
Or for those of us who have more than one child, having to get used to how different children react to the same disciplinary technique or whatever it is, that I might say one thing. I even have identical twins, but I can say one thing to the one twin and she'll take it a certain way. And if I say that exact same thing to the other twin, she goes off in a whole different direction. So
they're so unique. Aren't we all?
Yeah.
We're all unique, and we all get to take this journey. So hopefully with our Momifesto, it'll help you go forward, and let's see what we can do to help you out. So
we just want to help you know, in case you decide to go find the Momifesto, you can do a search up here in the search bar, but you can also just go down into the activate bar and you'll find it down here at the bottom of that menu. So it starts out with the simple declaration, I am a mother. And that's a really important declaration to be able to make firmly and proudly, instead of kind of offhand or shrugging about it, or thinking, oh, that's not as important as somebody who's a dentist or lawyer or what have you. We need to realize this is an occupation. It is an endeavor. It requires good education, and again, that's what we're here to help with at Momivate. So let's all say it together. I am a mother. Very good. Now, if you, again, go onto the website and decide to, because we really do want to encourage you to study this yourself, do more than just enjoy this hour with us, and steer this, go ahead and pay attention. So this will be kind of a way to get through the Momifesto. It's got different titles, kind of. It categorizes the Momifesto. And then these are the things. So Leigha, do you want to read that first part?
For the world, I am only one person, but to my children, I am their world. I set the rudder on the ship to the future. Through my actions seem small, though my actions seem small, I have immense influence on eternity.
That's kind of a cool metaphor there, to think of being the rudder on a ship. Now, that might not be a familiar term to everybody. My uncle was in the Navy, so I like to think I know a little something about ships. I don't know if that counts, having an uncle in the Navy, but a rudder is just a teeny tiny little part at the bottom of the boat, so under the water. And the steering wheel is what controls which direction that rudder goes. And that tiny little thing at the bottom of the boat controls which direction that ship will steer. So it's a small thing, but it steers a big ship. And in this case, we're talking about the ship of eternity.
Well, and I love because the rudder, the direction we're sending is character traits, right? It's charity, love, unconditional forgiveness. It's who we hope they become to be able to give back to society.
I love that. Yeah, that's a really great thing to be able to equate. What do we mean by being the rudder on the ship? We mean teaching our children these important traits. And I want us all to remember, and we'll get to this in the Momifesto, but our example that we set is really one of the main ways that we set that rudder. And that can be very humbling, but it is important to remember that. All right, so we have our little picture of love is kind of giving us a clue where we're going next. How can you talk about motherhood without talking about love? But what I like about this section, as we do read it, you'll notice it helps us gain a better understanding of what love is instead of just a feeling. Because we all have that feeling towards our children. We gave birth to them, so that love is there. But how do we show it, and how do we build it, and how do we make sure that it's strong? Because there are varying degrees of love. So I'll let Leigha read again.
You bet. So love is spelled P-I-M-E. So I invest my time in the people I love, purposefully maximizing quality time through quantity time. My capacity to love is unlimited. Despite my personal limitations, I show and grow my love as I meet my children's needs when possible, compassionately accompany them through the needs I cannot meet, and teach them to meet their own needs as their capacities grow.
Wow, there is so much packed into that little paragraph. I think one of the things that we mentioned already is how Momivate wants to give every mom an EMT, the E for education, the M for money, and the T for time. And that is because we will learn to love our children better the more time we spend with them.
Love has no strings. You love them no matter who they decide they be, what they look like, what they wear. The love is eternal, but the boundaries are what keeps us safe. And I was at a conference the other day, and we were talking about charity and love, and it talked about how her sister was a drug addict and she'd been clean for a year, but they taught that you love them no matter what, right? But you set boundaries to keep you and them safe.
Okay.
And so as I ponder that and speaking with my some of my adult children, as we're teaching them these fun things, these character traits, let's help them remember that I love you no matter what. I love myself no matter what, right? And so I love the time thing. It's so important. And I wouldn't know that if I didn't spend the time talking to them, right?
That's awesome. That's awesome. I remember hearing a mother, I spent a bit of time with her because we homeschooled our children in the same co-op. And I would hear her say, when she was particularly annoyed with her child, she would say, I love you, but you need to like change this, whatever, you know? And I always thought, oh, that's so nice. But I realized that her children were going to start to hear I love you and worry, oh no, now she's going to chastise me. So I heard another person, a therapist, I think, mention the concept of reversing your butt. And that just sounds hilarious, doesn't it? The word butt is just a funny word here in English. So, so in that case, the mom was wanting to make sure her child knew, I do love you, even though I need to punish you or I need to steer your behavior a different direction, I do love you. So what the concept of reversing your butt would be to say the chastisement first and then say, but I love you. And that way too, you're leaving a positive taste in the mouth of that child, right? You did get your message across about whatever misbehavior was happening. And then you ended it with, but I love you. And it's kind of more of a reassurance instead of what I noticed happening between her and her kids, where they would hear this, I love you. And they would be like, oh dear, she loves me. That means she's going to punish me. Yeah, it's fun as moms to work together and always in an attitude of love. So in this little thing, continuing with the concept of love and the way we show it and the way we grow it. And those are two key words here in this paragraph. Meeting our children's needs is a way to show love. I've heard adults, I think it's become more common in our generation to express verbally love, but I think there were generations past where that wasn't verbalized. But you can hear the people now who are the adults from that generation say, but I still knew that they loved me. So there was some way of showing it, maybe not in the ways that we've come to understand is important, but showing love is important. And I think that probably was the way that a lot of those former generations felt loved, was because their needs were being met. And there's various needs. We all know that. Our children have various needs. They need comfort. They need help, with learning things. So they need teaching. They need food. They need shelter. They need good food and safe shelter. There's various needs that our children have. So, and then of course, there will be times when we can't meet our children's needs. And so the Momifesto includes a sentence about that, but it's still important to be compassionate and just be with them, accompany them through that. They will grow to the point where they're needing to take care of their own needs, and we've got to let them do that. We have to let go at some point, I suppose, as a mother of adult children.
Well, we were always in a position that our budgets was pretty tight. And so when our kids started wanting the phone and to drive the car, the responsibility became theirs, to pay for them. So the responsibility is to get a job. And I remember my son coming home from school and said, yeah, our driver's ed teacher asked everybody to raise their hand, who has to pay for their phone? Who has to pay for the insurance? There's like 3 of us that raised our hands. And there was only 3 that the other parents were doing it all. And
well, then thank goodness our budgets are too tight for that, right?
Right, because I think I probably would have wanted to do it. We tend to want to make life easier than we have. Yeah. But that's backtracking. We need them to stretch themselves and show that they can do it. When our children are little and they fall down, what do? Yay, get And we're cheering them on. And we're saying, let's go. And then when they get to kindergarten, we're like, you should know that already. We start, we need to cheer them on through their challenges and their trials. And
whether it's the falling down as a baby learning to walk, or the falling down as a teenager or learning to budget, or
learning some of those life experiences.
We'll take a little minute to talk about ourselves, that we as moms fall down in the metaphorical sense, and we need to be compassionate to ourselves as well.
And I think that's part of your example, showing example, is letting your kids know, I made a mistake. It's not you. Sometimes we put it on them. You didn't do this, you didn't do that. But reality is, I didn't take a step back. I didn't observe where I was at. And I placed my responsibility and my behavior on you. And so we need to let them know, I'm learning too. I'm still learning. There's a time they take us off that pedestal, unfortunately.
And if that hasn't happened to you yet.
But it does come.
Speaking of pedestals, sometimes the world sends these great messages of kind of over glorification of what motherhood is, like, you're the hero, mom. And Momivate agrees, of course, that moms are essential. We do go in and save our kids from who knows what, different kinds of threats out there in the world. But the fact remains that we are not superheroes. And that's essential to remember. It kind of ties in already with what we're saying about showing each other that compassion, showing ourselves that compassion. So, Leigha, would you like to read again?
I will try.
I think it's just this paragraph here.
Okay. Excuse me. All right. I am not a superhero because I do not have superhuman capacities. Nevertheless, I am a hero because despite my humanness, I shape the lives of my children by intentionally nurturing their bodies and spirits. Through their lives, I contribute to the betterment of society. I am a hero because I bravely face unfamiliar territory every day in my home. I wield the two-edged sword of mercy and justice. I shield my children from foes, both seen and unseen.
So I think that is a broader perspective about being a hero. And in those moments when you really don't feel like you have superhuman capacities, that's okay. You aren't meant to. Your children need to realize that you are human also. They need to know your limitations, but that, that they can still look to you for soothing and for help. And you might not be able to solve all of their problems, right?
Well, I don't think we're there to solve problems, right? We're there to help them problem solve. You do this a lot with your
That's
children.
great. I like that.
You do a lot with walking them through and helping them think through. I was at your house one day and two of the kids were having a little squabble and you sat there and just kind of said, well, what would you want to happen? And after a few minutes, it was amazing how they took the concept and changed their behavior and their actions. So I think that's the thing is we can't fix it. We can't be the policeman. We can't be, we're there to just be guiding and helping them as they're trying to figure it out.
I like that. I think one reason I sometimes do that of okay, children, there is obviously a problem, so let's talk about it and let's figure it out, is because of not wanting to do all that work myself. To tell the truth, that just feels very heavy to me, to have to somehow be all-knowing and know exactly what to do in every situation. And sometimes these children come with this inner ability to problem solve, and it's just kind of a matter of handing it over to them and saying, okay, well, let's figure it out together. And sometimes you have to offer ideas, sometimes you have to remind them, for instance, what's the golden rule? Is this really how you would want to be treated? But sometimes it is nice to not feel like it has to be me and I have to make all of these decisions and figure out all of the discipline myself, It's like inviting my children to be heroes with me. They're my sidekicks.
Today, my two daughters were going, speaking to each other, and one wanted the other one to let the dog out. And she was like, well, I was going to do it until you told me to. Right? Don't we get that kind of attitude? It's like, I was going to do it. And you told me to, so now I'm not. And and it's just interesting, but they eventually worked it out. But I didn't go in and just, I could have stepped in, and in the past I probably would have and just said, but I sat back and they worked it out. And now that's their relationship, right? It's not me trying to fix the relationship.
I think that's neat. Yeah. To let them have a relationship of their own. And of course, model a positive relationship and do your best to offer relationship dynamic tools, kind of be the therapist in between or something.
But not do it in the moment.
There you go. Right. Yeah, that heat of the moment can be a concern. So I'm going to go ahead and read the next paragraph. Since repetition is the mother of learning, I embraced it gracefully. The echo of my kind reminders slowly cements behaviors into habits. I patiently laugh, hug, tickle, kiss, sing, snuggle, and pat on the back as many times as needed for my own sake, as well as my children's. I use praise more than criticism to encourage positive behavior changes. I allow my children to experience consequences and guide them to transform those consequences into positive lessons. More often than not, my example transcends my words.
I love this. And after 31 years, I'm still practicing.
Yep.
You come in and you've asked them to do the kitchen, and most of it's done. But I don't look at what mostly is done. I look at, why is that pan still on the stove, right? And I'm still practicing, and I'm going to get it. I'm going to come in one day and say, wow, look what you've done. I mean, that's my goal. Wow, I'm so excited. And would you like me to help you? Let's work on this together. But I'm still pushing the schedules, and this is going to be done. And why haven't you done it? Make my life easier. It's not about them. It's about our time and looking at the good and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it until we get it right.
That's right. I learned that phrase, repetition is the mother of learning, when I was a missionary in Russia. And that was how I was learning Russian, was just lots and lots of repetition. And the phrase stuck with me as I became a mother myself. And that's what motherhood seemed to be like, was just an awfully lot of repetition, saying it over and over and over and over. And when I was a young mother, and I like to think of it as a little bit immature, as far as how I've grown as a mother. I don't think that I was a bad mother, but I was immature. And so one of my more common ways of interacting was yelling. And I just felt like, why doesn't this child change? Can't they tell I'm mad? Don't they want to be good? Don't they want, to please me? And if I yell louder, maybe and finally, after, it gave me headaches, kind of hurt my throat, I figured out it might actually be worth it for my own sake to decide to be kind and to put the effort into calmer interactions with my kids. And I just had to accept the fact that repetition was what I signed up for as mom.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it at the time, but motherhood is so much of establishing what the expectations are, and then being willing to remind, repeat over and over until those little ruts in our kids' heads, their brains, are actually formed, and they get to the point where they don't want to go to bed without brushing their teeth, because that's been something that's been repeated so often. But again, it was a matter of changing myself as opposed to thinking, what can I do to change this child?
And that's the progress, right?
Yeah.
Is we're always trying to improve how to do things better so that we get better results, right? And force and yelling is never, when I was going through that stage, I really prayed. I'm like, oh, I really need help. And I lost my voice for a month.
Oh, wow.
And the scripture came to me that a soft voice turneth away wrath, right?
There is.
And the more I was talking softly, they were listening better. And it was an amazing concept. And I can't say that I was 100% not yelling anymore, but it came less and less and better results when I talk
So
softly.
that was a blessing. It seemed like a curse to have your voice gone, but it was actually God's answer to your prayer. That's
Yeah.
a beautiful thing. They say be careful what you pray for, but I think that is because prayer works, and that is why you need to be careful.
But that part was the journey for me.
Yes.
Right. The repetition. We have.
You had to have it for the whole month of
I did,
course.
and I was like, really, just a whisper. But I love this: the hugging, the tickling, the kissing, the emotion. Sometimes we get so busy, I forget. Because I even have a 23-year-old, and I forget. I just try and go and at least touch him, and just something. Because you're just how you walk up to 23, just keep hugging him, right? And but it is so important to have that touch and the feeling to keep the repetition.
Yeah.
So I love that you learned that in Russia.
Yeah.
Brought it to our table.
And I don't think it's a mistake that they chose to use the word mother of learning, because that is what motherhood is. All right, scrolling down a bit, we have to accept the fact that there is no way to be a perfect mother, but a million ways to be a good one. And so I pursue progression rather than perfection. As my children see me struggle, they learn how to manage their mistakes with grace, trusting in gradual growth. We forgive ourselves and each other, and I invite them to find hope of salvation by fostering faith in God in our home and at church. I'm just starting with that last word of church. Momivate itself is not a religious organization. We aren't affiliated with any particular religion, and yet at the same time, we do encourage you to find your faith, to discover, the God that you want to worship, and make an effort to include God in your family.
The characteristics we're trying to help with our children. There's some structure, there's ways to help them to develop, like I said, charity, unconditional love, which is charity, the pure love of Christ, but just little things, being kind, serving. I remember my sons, one came home and said, Mom, I need you to help me. There's a lady on the street and she needs a ride down, and she's in a wheelchair, and she came and got me, and we went and picked her up and took her. And another one who was filling up people's cars with gas. He had a little job, but it was just so sweet to see them serving and finding joy in that. And that's who they are and their capacity. And for me, church helped establish basic principles so that I could teach them. It's not so much the checkoff list, which I probably put a lot of emphasis on check, check, and that probably didn't come to letting them know that these are helping us develop these character traits. But now they get to do their journey, and they get to find their truth. And we're all going to find our own principles and truth that help guide us in our individual personalities, our situations, our life choices. And so you are doing a great job. You're a great mom, and you're doing the best you can.
And that is a nice message that religion tends to send. The various religions I've been exposed to, including I personally am Christian. I had a Muslim daughter live in my home for a whole school year as a foreign exchange student. I've had a Buddhist son and a Hindu son in terms of the foreign exchange student thing. So it's been a wonderful journey to realize what the commonalities are between our religions. And one of the major ones is redemption, is being able to forgive, being able to see people as trying their best and giving those people powerful values and tools that will lead to the success of that individual in their relationships in general. And I think that concept of redemption is something we want for our children to feel, the ability to be forgiven, because we do all make mistakes. And I do also feel that pretty much every religion I've been exposed to values motherhood, and really puts almost too heavy of a mantle sometimes, right? Which I think Momivate is sometimes a little bit close to doing that. Sometimes it feels a little too heavy, but that's why we need the redemption. Is our role really is important, but we're not going to mess up our kids with one negative interaction, hopefully.
We aren't set out to ruin our children's life, right? Our goal is we want them to be happy, healthy, and productive, right? Those are the things we're looking for with our children. And sometimes we feel like it reflects us, so we act out in yelling or frustration and put it on them. But that's all reversible to help as we continue, like you're saying, continue to set example to improve upon ourselves and to go back to them and say, hey, I handled this wrong. And, you know, I'm sorry I said that. They may carry it with them, but they have the choice to let it go.
Yeah.
And so anyway, just give yourself credit. You're doing a great job.
And keep practicing. That's what our next few, it's actually 3 sets of practicing. So let's give up on worrying about perfect and let's instead pursue progression. And that comes through practice. Just like a musician practices their instrument, regardless of our natural talent or lack thereof. I can seek out the guidance of mentors. I might hit a wrong note sometimes, but I am committed to my craft and I'll keep trying to add harmony to the melody of my children's lives. I practice motherhood like a doctor practices medicine. That's a funny one that stuck out to me. My grandfather was a neurosurgeon. He was a brain doctor. And he was the one who made it clear that medicine is a practice, and they use that word on purpose. It is not necessarily a known science by any means, but they keep practicing. Those doctors keep practicing their medicine. So I'll keep reading that paragraph. I pledge to provide care that is likely to lead to the best possible outcomes, though there are no guarantees. I might make an incorrect diagnosis sometimes, but I continue my education, seeking out specialists as necessary. I practice preventive medicine. I apply bandages, and I study out and pray for cures.
I grew up in a home where there wasn't a lot of conversation. It was a lot of here, this is what you do, this is what you do, this is what you do. And I brought that into my parenting. You know, here's your list. And it wasn't
check off.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a lot of dialogue, and I didn't listen a lot to what they had to say or what they are feeling or thinking. And we didn't talk politics in our home, and there just wasn't no conversation. So this is something that now I'm enjoying. Some of my children have gone to college and they come back and say, Mom, you know, I need to practice this. And we did this whole listening back and forth. And why didn't we do this growing up? I'm like, because I didn't know how.
Yeah.
Right. And now it's beautiful because I get to appreciate and listen. And that's why I kind of push them out the door. I'm like, you know, I've given you all I can give you. I've practiced all I can on you. Now go learn from somebody else. Right.
I like that. That does fit in with the continuing education that doctors are made to have.
Right.
And we as moms need to continue our education. That's what Momivate School is to do that together. And then the seeking out the specialists is kind of what it sounds like you're helping your children do is, okay, you've reached the limits of my capabilities. And so go ahead and encourage them in discovering that. So
Today, someone says, our job is to get ourselves out of a job.
that's right. As mothers.
As mothers, we're trying to work ourselves out of a job and that they can go and take care of themselves and move forward. So do you want me to read the third one? So I practice motherhood like an athlete practices a sport with his team. My family is a team. We gradually build our self-discipline muscles as we run drills and teach skills in sunny heat or wintry chills. We win some and we lose some, but we are gracious either way and focus on the fun. My daughter prays every day. I hope we can have fun. We're making having fun and you know, getting older. I'm like, oh my gosh, fun to me is like a roller coaster ride. Right? It's not an I love peace. That's where I'm at. Like, if I feel peace, I'm doing what to me, fun is the amusement park or the beach or things like that.
Yeah.
But we need to have fun. We need to have some good, wholesome recreational in our family.
Yeah.
And that's something that we should be practicing.
It does require practice. Our family is big on board games, and we try to have a family game night once a week. And it is interesting because we don't always get along. It doesn't always turn into well, overall, it turns into something we want to keep doing. But that doesn't mean that every minute of playing these games is joyful and fun. They're little kids who are still learning how to not cheat, or how to handle it when somebody else cheats, or how to handle it when they didn't win because they wanted to. So I think that is an interesting concept to think of our families as teams. And then you can even go deeper with it. Like, what role do I have on the team? Am I the coach? Am I the, cheerleader? And just being able to kind of see our family that way as having the common goal of wanting to score some points, So we are not alone on our mothering journey. And I think that's important to remember for ourselves. We are worthy of assistance along the way. I've been saying it in the we, but I want to point out this is actually in the first person, like we wrote it on purpose in the first person, so that you can use this as a set of affirmations and use that powerful self-talk. I ask for assistance humbly and hopefully, and I accept it gratefully and regularly. I seek help from people who have a vested interest in my children's and my well-being. So, and then it lists examples of people: God, my husband, my children's father, which often is the same person, but not always, my parents and in-laws, my friends, and my children themselves. So we can ask our children to help us in that mothering journey that we have. More people, their friends, the teachers and coaches and mentors and pediatrician. Together, we, as a village, so to speak, we provide protection, nourishment, and rejuvenation for our whole family, including me. And I think that that's essential to remember, is in that metaphor of when an airplane is, they're teaching you how to use the masks that fall, because I think it's built into our mothering DNA to sacrifice. I think that is simply what happens when you invest 9 months of your life and your well-being, and then you go through labor and bring this baby into the world. You are going to do whatever it takes to make sure that baby gets to where they need to get in life. And so realizing that it is okay for you yourself to also get help and get rest and things like that is really important. But on the other hand, we do choose to sacrifice. So this says, I choose to sacrifice. Yes, it means giving up something valuable now. Still, I trust that the potential results are more desirable than what I sacrifice. I require some goals to wait their turn, because if you chase 2 rabbits, you catch neither one. That's another Russian phrase.
Mhm.
Motherhood gives me far more than it demands. And ultimately, the more I give, the more I am given. My life is nobly centered on giving life, and I will give it abundantly through God who gives it to me. So this concept of sacrifice is a little touchy. We live in a world that doesn't necessarily value sacrifice. It really teaches us instead, I think a lot of the society messages are just get, give for myself. Don't worry about other people, and certainly don't sacrifice what I want for somebody else's sake, This is a message that we need to be aware of and actively work against, because there is value to sacrificing, even though you have other things on your to-do list. I think this also ties into the concept of careers, and it's really a wonderful time to live when women can have whatever career they want, and they do get good educations, and we can pursue whatever careers. At the same time, when we realize that motherhood is its own career, then that means it's written here, I require some goals to wait their turn. Because if you chase two rabbits, you catch neither one. So what our generation has been trying to do is they call work-life balance. But the fact of the matter is, sometimes it's better, instead of seeking balance, to just compartmentalize. And right now I'm focused on motherhood, and the time will come when that goal changes, and it's more likely to come because by focusing on motherhood, it's like an investment, and the child then is able to develop it and grow in the ways they need to, and we work ourselves out of a job.
And Reagan was raised by a single mom, and we know everybody can't fit this environment, right? This standard. And we need to realize that you're sacrificing to give your kids a better life. You're sacrificing your time and things away from them. And we know that that is hard.
A sacrifice of its own.
Yeah.
So, and then in the sacrifice comes that value, and the potential results are more desirable than what we're sacrificing. But it doesn't mean that it's easy to sacrifice. Okay, this is our last paragraph of the Momifesto. Would you like to read that?
Gotcha.
All right.
So motherhood is repetitive, taxing, skillful work. With determination and enthusiasm, I choose to accept my maternal duties as conscientiously defined in partnership with my husband. I commit my talents and capabilities to this worthy endeavor, optimistic that the world is a better place because of my mothering work. I gain my greatest satisfaction where I put my greatest efforts, knowing that even the best methods work only as well as I do. When my work raising my children is obsolete, I will dedicate these many skills refined by motherhood to the betterment of the wider world.
Our organization that will reach out to employers and help the employers understand that about motherhood. And so when motherhood is on a resume, the employers will respect that and understand what skills that means the woman is bringing in. You can get your own PDF if you join our email list.
Thank you, Reagan. This is delightful. I love visiting with you and talking about motherhood.
Fun. Yeah.
Especially when we can relate to some of the challenges. As my kids got older, they wanted to do other things. Some of them wanted to go out and to share their beliefs in the Savior Jesus Christ. And financially, they're responsible to pay their way
For a mission.
And we didn't know how that, but it was always my heart desire that I would help them do that. And miracle came that a positive rewards program dropped in my lap, and I was able to provide the income needed for them to go on their mission. I still at home, I still had many children at home with me, and it was an opportunity for them to work with me, and I could take them with me. And so I got into this positive rewards business, and that went for like 12 years. And it was wonderful. And I learned so many skills and opportunities. But as I started observing my children, we started, like, I wanted them to love who they were. The long story short is I created this program called Improvision. And that's to help you know what your IDW is. Your IDW, we use it every day. Reagan's doing it right now with Momivate. She's intelligent. She's learned how to do a website. She's learned how to put all these things together. She is just Zooming. What are some other new things? Trello boards, different things. So she's using her intelligence, right? She's learning new things. She hasn't stopped. And her desire is to help moms, right? We all have a desire, and that's the D in IDW. Our desire takes us the direction we want to go in. And the W is the willingness, the action. For Reagan to call me on the phone, she had to pick up the phone, she had to call, and she had to take some action, say, I want to start this nonprofit. Do you want to join me? I'm like, yes, let's do this.
I'm going to use the whiteboard right behind.
Oh, I love it. So, so right now, my website, I'm taking a little after Reagan. I'm not as good at it. She's got a lot more. But go to improvision.org. I am not a nonprofit, but it was available. So I took it. And right now I do 3 different things. I'm working to help with connection, cooperation, and celebration. Connection is connecting us as individuals and as community in our workforce. We got connection, cooperation. So cooperation is the positive rewards where we work together and we reward people for doing, showing their talents and their intelligence they use. For instance, these treasure towers I have, they're in schools and dental offices. So the kids get to earn a token, a super patient or a super student, and they're getting, so they exchange it for a toy. They're getting rewarded for their good behavior. So that's our cooperation. And I'm working on something for businesses. And then celebration is, we got to celebrate. We're doing great things. We're doing different. And I have like a linen business where people can come and just rent $35. They wash it and then bring it back. But so those are some of the things I'm working on. They're all still in the works, except for my cooperation is up and going for the last 12 years. But go to improvision.org. I'd love to hear what you have to say. And about another week or 2, it's going to be a brand new website because I've hired somebody else to do it because I've learned that that is my weakness. I'm not good at it. And so I'm using somebody else's intelligence, their IDW, to help them along, and it's going to help me. So keep looking at it. And one day it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, that is exciting. Congratulations on having time. That was kind of one of the things we were talking about is life is full of lots of different things, and we don't have to do them all at the same time. So you had your time of focusing on your children. She mentioned that her youngest is 15.
Yeah.
So that does mean that it's okay, to have she spent that time, she invested that time, and she still has a good 40 years of her life left to focus on other things. So I'm going to go back to sharing our screen here. I just think we have had a delightful time here having this conversation. So thank you, Leigha, for taking time to come, and thank you for joining us. I feel like we're trying to share these insights, and we do that for a purpose. We want it to bless your life. And so thank you for gaining those insights. So again, thank you, Leigha, and thank you, our viewers. I want to call you our Momunity. Thank you for being part of our Momunity. We do need to take a few minutes to write things down. And that's what this screen is reminding you to do. Write things down. Our brains are like a set of gears, and that's unfortunately not showing up on the screen right now. I'm not sure why, but
But as we learn one thing in one direction, oh, there are our gears, then it can actually have impact on so many other parts of our lives, even the parts that seem unrelated, like the gear down at the bottom of the screen. It looks very far away from the orange gear, but the movements of both are impactful to each other. So that is one of the goals of the Smile Journal, is to let the knowledge that you've gained here go out and get your gears in motion. So make an action plan and expect those tiny movements, just the little cogs on each gear to bring change into your life. So as a reminder, Momivate is a nonprofit organization. We did that on purpose because you, Mom, have already given so much. You give yourself, you give your time, you give your heart and love, and you give birth, for heaven's sakes. You don't need to give money also. So Momivate is a token of gratitude for all you do, and we want to give you tools to empower you to elevate your mothering experience. Now, if you know someone, a benefactor, a philanthropist whose values align with our mission, and they might want to partner with us to activate the powerful force mothers are designed to be, cultivate our maternal instincts into confident maternal influence, innovate to meet modern mothering needs, and elevate the respect given to the role of motherhood, please help them know about our website. They can go to momivate.org, momivate.org, and their donation will be an investment in children powered by mothers. Now, we are affiliated with Amazon.com, and that's another way that we can earn funds to help pay for the running of this nonprofit. Now, would you like to be a guest on Momversations? We invite you to apply by visiting our website. There it is again. You'll find it nestled underneath the Activate tab. We took a screenshot here to help you find that. So, and there's an application there, and we would love to hear what you have learned as you have worked to raise up society. Maybe you know about relationships, atmosphere, income and outgo, schedules and systems, energy, unique circumstances, or personal pursuits. So let us know what your specialty is, and we will include you in the Momversation. Thanks again, and please join us again at the same mom time on the same mom channel every Saturday at 3 o'clock Pacific time, and we'll see you next time.